can cost you up to $100,000. And in this video, I'm going to talk about exactly what is a virtual address, reasons you need to get one, and where to get the exact and best virtual address for your business. All right, guys. So in today's video, we're going to talk about where to get a virtual address. But before we get started, we need to understand why you need, or what is a virtual address and why you need it for your business. So, all right, guys, so what exactly is a virtual address? In simple terms, it's just an address attached to your business. It's an address that you can use to forward mail, to receive mail, to receive phone. If you guys are interested in joining the waitlist for my mentorship, there is a link in the description. Go ahead and click that description, watch the video, and join the waitlist. Phone calls, to do meetings, but you don't necessarily have to use it for that. It's just an address that you use that's attached to your business, right? There's a lot of places that offer virtual addresses that you don't necessarily have to do business out of, but it's basically an address attached to your business. So why you need a virtual address. So a lot of lenders like for businesses to have a brick and mortar. But that doesn't necessarily mean it can't be a home-based business and you can't use your home address. And I'll talk about that in a second. But lenders really like to see a brick and mortar store where they can Google you and find like an office suite or some sort of building attached to that business address. Now, here's a quick tip, and most people don't say this, but here's the truth. So you don't necessarily need a business address when you apply for a Chase, Bank of America, American Express. They don't really Google you and actually look to verify if you have an actual suite or business or office building for that address, right? It's an automatic algorithmic approval, right? So you submit an application online, you get approved, yes or no, right? They're not actually crawling the internet to see and to see if you have a brick and mortar business. So just want to keep that in mind. Where you do need a business, though, this is, I know for a fact, it's happened to me several times. They will Google you. Local regional banks and local banks, smaller banks will actually Google your address. So you definitely want to, if you don't care about local banks, regional banks, and you only have just like a main bank like American Express or Chase or Bank of America, you don't necessarily need a business address. You could just do your home address. Now, I'm going to talk about why you shouldn't use that, but they're not going to Google you, is my point, right? Chase, Bank of America, American Express, they're not going to Google your address, but a regional bank will Google you. A regional and local bank will actually Google you to see if it's a legit business, if that address you provided for your LLC is attached to an actual building or an office or a suite. So they will Google you. So that is important to keep to note. One thing also, you can use your home address. However, because of COVID, banks started to understand and lenders started to understand that there's been a lot of influx in home-based businesses. So you can use your home address. I've got funded using my home address before. I got plenty of funding using my home address. However, the downside is you're exposed, right? Because your LLC, if you Google your LLC, it's going to show your address and they can see your home address, right? It's public record. That's the only downside with getting a home address. So you want to be mindful of that. You can get funded. Your business can get funded, regional, even on the state level, the local level, or a major bank like Chase. You can't get funded using a home address. So I want to demystify that real quick. However, the downside is it's public information. So I can Google you, know exactly where you live, know the apartment number, know the city, know the state, know the zip code. So you want to avoid that. You want to have some privacy with your business. So I do recommend having a virtual address. And I'm going to drop a gem at the end of the video where you can save hundreds of dollars for a business address if you make sure you stay all the way to the end. Guys, let me know in the comments if this is your first time here. Welcome to my channel. We talk about leveraging credit to create cash flow. We talk about business and we talk about finance. Make sure you stay all the way to the end to listen to this gem. So you cannot use a PO box. You cannot use a PO box. Banks will flat out deny you if you have a PO box as a business address. And the main reason they consider that fraud. That just sounds fishy. It looks suspicious. They can consider that fraud. Why do you have a PO box as a home address? So you want to avoid having a PO box in your business address. You definitely want to avoid that. There are some virtual companies, virtual business address companies that offer a place where you can get a virtual address, right? Regis, Opus. One thing you want to keep in mind, I'm gonna drop a gem, is first of all, you don't want to use iPostal. That's gonna get flagged. That's gonna show that you want to avoid iPostal or anything that's like post office or anything like that. There's addresses that are getting flagged because the flag iPost. There's companies that are getting flagged for using a company like a Regis or iPostal, right? You want to make sure if you use a Regis, it has like a suite number, and you Google it yourself, see what comes up, right? You want to make sure that everything is matching, looks legit. Like if you Google yourself, what comes up exactly? There's one like Anytime Mailbox, Mailbox. I have used that. However, what I recommend, actually, now that I've learned some new stuff, and I'll say that in a second, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash that like button. It does help with the algorithm. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, hit that bell notification. That way you will notify whenever I post a new video. Also, again, smash that like button. So iPostal, you want to avoid Regis and Opus. Now, here's the thing. Those addresses lately have been getting flagged because banks are starting to catch on and noticing that everyone's using these virtual addresses. So you want to avoid those places. Another thing is they can be very expensive. I was paying Regis like $50, $60 a month for my virtual address. So it can get very pricey if you have several businesses. It can get very pricey. So what other gem is, what you want to do is you want to go to the UPS. Give me shout out to Credit Gems. I actually did not know this. I was just blinding applying for getting these business addresses from these companies. But one thing you want to make sure that you do before you get a virtual address is to make sure that it's not a CRMA. What is so that the address is not registered as a CRMA, commercial receiving mail agency? You can actually find out if that address is registered as a CRMA by going to UPS, looking up the address. If it says yes, CRMA, it'll say commercial receiving agency when you look up the address. If it says yes, that is being flagged. That will be flagged by the bank. So you want to keep that in mind. Again, for the most part, big banks don't really look for that. Local banks and regional banks definitely look for that. Now, sometimes you might get flagged. That address might get flagged even by a big bank like Chase or Bank of America. So you want to keep that in mind. So you want to avoid business virtual addresses that are registered as a CRMA. So what the hack is, here's the gem. So what you want to do before you get your LLC, you can actually use a registered agent's address as your business address. A registered agent's job is basically to forward any documents to you for your business. So when you apply for LLC, like on inkfile.com, it'll ask you if you want to get assigned a registered agent. And all a registered agent is basically someone who handles all your legal documents and forward it to you, right? That's their job, to forward all the legal documents to you. But the gem is to use them as a business address, because they're supposed to have an official business address, a brick and mortar. And you save hundreds, if not thousands, using them as a registered agent. So what you would do is you would just put the state of Virginia, Virginia registered agent. It's like $25 a year. In my addresses, I pay like $10, $20 a month with these companies like Anytime Mailbox. I pay like $10 a month. But with this, it's $25 a year with a registered agent's business address. So you have to obviously do that before you get your LLC. But that is the gem. Guys, let me know if I'm dropping some gems in the comments. Let me know in the comments if I'm dropping some gems. That's my time. My name is Toby Rosario. Peace.